All right, guys. Well, on the YouTube side, it seems like it finally started working. I do have all my tags and stuff, so if I'll cover this fourth, and then I'll give a chance to add some of that in when Cooper does come back. So apologies for a little bit of the delay, but it seems to be working on the YouTube side now. I did everything else on my end. It was just kind of frozen. So, but it is what it is. We're here, and we will get the rest of this going, and we are live on Twitter Spaces. And again, my broadcast side of this thing is off until the inning officially starts, but to let everybody know, we are going to be in the fourth inning. It is scoreless. And as always, hopelesssportsguy.wordpress.com. We will give you the complete game story and the audio with Cooper and I here today. So I'll get my tags in there and get all that stuff set up when we get to the fifth. I'll get set to call this fourth, and then we will flip back in.
So thanks for covering me there, John. It's good news to know that the YouTube side is back up and firing on all cylinders as Amed Rosario stands in. He's got an 0-1 count here, but I'll let you take it away. I know we're going to swap in and out. Here's J.P. Crawford, who was on the base pass last inning for the Mariners. Nice job right there running in to the grass of the infield to grab that one and just webbing and toss across to France for the first out on the top of the fourth.
Yeah, that was a nasty, soft job there by Luis Castillo. Jammed Amed Rosario and just put the lumber right in half, and this is going to bring up Jose Ramirez. So I say machine-like. It was a 5-year, $124 million extension. He took a massive pay cut to stay in Cleveland. They want to stay underneath that payroll. And honestly, if I'll just throw this out there, I think he could have at least got $250, but he stayed in Cleveland. And you got numbers of 280, 29 bombs, 126 RBI. He's the real deal. As a fastball, Castillo gets the friendly call, and Ramirez can't believe it. Make it 0-2.
A couple of those, John. Castillo's gotten a couple of calls where I believe Viva hasn't for whatever reason. I'm certainly not playing favorites, but Ramirez gets burned a little bit on that one. And the 0-1 pitch to him was just a beauty by Castillo. That was interesting. He just froze it with taking some of the speed off. So here's the 0-2 pitch.
So 2 pitch up coming now, and that's a fastball way out. And it's interesting. They showed Terry Francona and company for Cleveland, and they're saying, hey, watch that strike zone. And I think that we can both tell you here in this broadcast, it's been a little uneven, but Castillo is definitely a beneficiary of these calls because he's been throwing strikes. That's what happens.
He has. And the count is at 1-2 here with Ramirez fouling the last offering up and into the screen behind home plate. And, Castillo definitely has his gas tonight. That last one at 96.
This is a fastball way out of the zone, making now 2-2 for Jose Ramirez. And as we said, 30 years of age, and I would describe him very machine-like. He's always a guy in a fantasy baseball perspective. He's a top 3 type player, can do it all. And this one is off speed, slammed on the third base line as he kind of pounds his bat because he knows he's a little late, and Ramirez is going to have to get set to dig in quickly. Castillo, halfway to 100 now. He's at 50 pitches in the top of the fourth, 1 out.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it, John. Of course, he's used to going deep into ball games here, and I don't think there's any set pitch count, but we'll see how quickly he approaches that triple-digit mark in pitches. Right now, that was his 51st. Another foul back into the screen by Ramirez.
This is the best at-bat of the day so far for the Guardians right now. This is about pitch number 7 here for Ramirez. He gets set to get back in a 2-2. This one's a cue shot. Still stays alive. It was way down on the strikes, about 7 feet. Falls it off and do it again.
Yeah, Ramirez really dialed in here, and you can see Castillo sort of nodding to himself here, the light gleaming off of those diamond earrings. Let's see if he can get this 2-2 pitch is delivered.
Another good at-bat here as it still continues, as it's a chance for Ramirez now at the full count. It was 97 way out of the zone. And we'll dig in on a full count pitch as Castillo gives a gleam. And to Raleigh, here's the pitch. This one's slammed toward the right field side, but this is caught by Teoscar Hernandez. 2 up, 2 down.
2 up, 2 down. First things that I noticed for Teoscar Hernandez in right field, hey, make the easy play when it's there to be made. Second, the tip of the cap, major respect. Teoscar Hernandez rocking the real stirrups. You don't see that too much anymore these days in baseball. And the number 3 thing I'm noticing, as much as I love seeing him out there, I'm glad Teoscar's a Mariner, but it's just strange, John, to no longer see Mitch Haniger out in right for Seattle. There's a ground ball right there. It's a routine play for Kwan. Toss across to Ty France. And John, inadvertently, I stepped on 2 batters and got the play-by-play for you. I apologize, my friend. but we're heading to the bottom of the fourth as the Mariners take care of the Guardians here in the top.
No, it's all good. It's the pace of play. I'm just enjoying all of it right now. And again, as we get to another commercial break, I'll start to pull everything in as far as this editing here for the YouTube side. So we'll get that all squared away and hopefully get more people in it. But again, Cooper, I appreciate you being with me on this. I wanted to make sure that we could get this first game because I knew it was going to be a big-time matchup. I didn't expect to have the whole MLB slate on top of me for the rest of the season, but we'll get to it when we get to it because I know I got some national championship game stuff in between Saturday and Monday, and then Michigan and Quinnipiac on Thursday for the Frozen Four. But we will be covering some more baseball, but when it does get into the Stanley Cup playoffs, admittedly, I do make a little bit of a turn. I try to cover as much of the first round as I can. So we do promise we will get to some baseball games, but I think I'm going to stay home on the ice when the playoffs do start.
Yeah, no question, John. This has always been the case. You're a busy man. You cover so much sports action. It always makes my head spin. It's so impressive what you jump into and handle on both the play-by-play side and the analysis, and you're writing recaps. Plus, you're giving your commentary. He's a 5-tool player. Yeah, sure, Rodriguez, he's good enough. But John Ott, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing hopeless about him, even though that is the website, hopelesssportsguy.wordpress.com. Don't miss that coverage as well. It's great if you're listening in, but the man can write. The man's got opinions. That's John Ott, folks. So I'm just happy to be along for it, and I'm glad, John, that we're finding a new rhythm here with some baseball action. We're so used to being on the ice for the NHL games that we cover, and of course I've basically strong-armed you into covering the Calgary Flames almost exclusively. But here we are, covering the Mariners and the Guardians. This is going to be a fun one. Just at the beginning of the season, it's Bieber's pitch to Teoscar, who was the second put out made the second put out of the last half inning. He looks at ball number 1. Keep going though, John. I don't want to keep stepping on your play-by-play.
So splitter here for Bieber, make it 1-1 against Teoscar Hernandez. Again, 267, 25 bombs, 77 RBI. Here for Teoscar. He can definitely be middle of the order bat. He is now a member of the Mariners. This is a nice player. Ramirez got it, tossed right over to Naylor. And I think they said that he got a piece of Hernandez's arm, did Naylor, off of the jump. And it's 1 up, 1 down.
Well, that's an interesting bang-bang play right there, John. I want to see a replay of this. Yeah, that ball tossed across. Yep, it was too high, so Naylor was way up off the bag. Also, Naylor, credit to him. Boy, he can get up in the air. He snagged that high throw from across the diamond, but he's able to bring his glove down and tags Teoscar kind of in the chest and shoulder area for out number 1 as Cal Raleigh swings over the top of an off-speed pitch, 0-1.
Well, you don't mind for Cal Raleigh, the switch hitting catcher. He can take some big swings. And Bieber, you want to see if you can get into one here, but he's not going to provide that velocity. Normally you say power on power, it can send it out of there, but usually for Bieber, tops up about 91 miles an hour. I haven't really yet to see that right now. He's halfway to 100 now. With 5 seconds to go on the pitch clock. He's got 1 out. And this one is cued off his foot. And this is play. This is going to have to be a toss over. No chance to get Raleigh. And there's a typical John Ott Cooper Hopkins broadcast, isn't it, Cooper?
My goodness, my friend, what are the odds? Not only is one starting pitcher hit with a liner back to the mound, now the other starting pitcher is hit. Bieber gets smacked in the foot by a ground ball coming hot off the bat of Cal Raleigh. It ricochets over to third base, and the entire infield is in basically what is now the allowed shift, if you will, where both the third baseman and shortstop are still to that third base side of second base. But now the coaching staff and Francona are out to check on Bieber because he took someone off the ankle. John, is this what we're going to expect when we cover ball games now? Is the pitchers are going to get hit every time we do a little coverage?
It just seems like no matter what sport we cover, we tend to break it a little bit.
That's right. You know what? We just break the mold. We don't ever see games completely normal. But you know what? That's what makes it so much fun. It's just and luckily on both sides. Let's not forget this part.
Yes.
Both pitchers A-OK, still on the mound and firing.
So Eugenio Suarez, former Red, former Tiger, now with the Mariners. He's batting 6, and that's a lot of pop to put in this part of the order. And this one's fouled off the foot. And we'll do it again as that one hits Zunino, but you got a lot of padding there as the catcher. It was 1-for-1 with a double. Again, he roped one in second base in the center field, able to take third, and that's where they were stranded right now. And it's runner on first. It's Cal Raleigh, 1 out. And here's the 0-1 as Suarez will get a tailor-made double play possibly. Yes, it is. And after 4, we are scoreless still.
Yes, we are. Suarez, a little bit disappointed there. Raleigh did his best as far as catchers go. He actually does have decent speed. I wouldn't compare him to Julio Rodriguez or wouldn't put him up against each other in a 100-meter dash. But Raleigh can move a little bit, but that's a tailor-made double play, as you said. With 1 away, it goes 5-4-3, and the inning is over. So the Guardians will be back at the plate in just a moment.
Got to be honest with you, though, Cooper, as far as everything that I expected in this game, I think it's as advertised right now. This is a smooth running game right now, and I'm actually really enjoying this. I knew I was going to enjoy the opening day with you, but as far as these matchups and these pitchers and everything else we got in front of us, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I would say it's very good. I mean, I can't believe it, but it's true. We're already approaching that middle portion of this contest, and both pitchers look great. I think Bieber has had a few more hiccups, but it hasn't resulted in anything damaging. Mariners have been far closer than the Guardians have, but we'll see if that remains the case, because as we've noted multiple times, both of these lineups have players that could send one deep into the night and change things in an eyelash.
Yes, we do. I know I don't have a ton of time as far as to go over some of these scores and all that, but I do want to make a news note before we actually get into the play-by-play, as I saw, which is if you're a Mets fan, you hold your breath, but Justin Verlander is going to be missing about 2.5 months of the season because he tore about a tendon up toward the right part of his armpit. So Scherzer pitched today, and the Mets were able to get the win, but they're going to be without Verlander services for a while.
Wow, John, that's actually the first I'm hearing of that, so thank you for the news update. And boy, in terms of pitchers' health, we've seen some heart-stopping moments in this ball game that we've been covering. But boy, oh boy, in fact, I was just reading. So I was reading the Major League Baseball rankings, the first of the year, kind of the power rankings put out by the Score, which I don't care to admit how long I've used that as my primary source of sports information on my phone. But I'll date myself. I remember having the Score app on my old BlackBerry phone, so that tells you something. But either way, their breakdown of the Mets made note of the fact that Mets are relying on 2 pitchers that are getting up there in age. And boy, now something has come to fruition here. It's a really sad state of affairs. Verlander's going to be out for so long.
Yeah, he is. It's Josh Naylor now. This is quickly 0-2 against Castillo. Both of these pitchers, it's been light work so far. Just really one player on base for a couple of innings. That's about it. It's 0-2 against Naylor. He does got power, and this one's roped toward Teoscar Hernandez. Got a good jump there right field. Makes the catch.
Yeah, Teoscar looking solid out there, right? Just making the plays that they're there to be made. And Castillo still in control here, John.
Yes, he is. Right now, again, it's not just the pitch clock. I would just say in general, between Bieber and Castillo, this is the pace of play that you usually get. And you know what these guys are going to do. They're going to trust their stuff. They're going to throw to contact, and they're going to make you hit it. And if you can't, well, that's on you. That's a beautiful changeup right in the bottom black against Andres Gimenez.
Yeah, Castillo working quickly. I think even regardless of the pitch clock, John, he likes to get the job done. Boy, there's a 95-mile-per-hour heater that catches the top corner of that inside part of the plate. So it's 0-2 quickly yet again.
You could definitely say that the velocity and everything else Castillo's feature plays. And what I mean by that is maybe a 95 might feel like 98, 99 with the way that this guy's throwing. He's been money so far. Here's the 1-2. And blew him right away. So sit down, Andres Gimenez, and it's 2 up and 2 down quickly here in the top of the 5th.
Oh, and Castillo looks into Raleigh. Raleigh obviously made that pitch call, and what placement right there. Even if Gimenez hadn't swung, John, that's the kind of pitch that Castillo's been getting the strike call on, even though it was a couple inches outside. So Castillo gives a big grin to Cal Raleigh. I think he knows he would have gotten him either way.
4 groundouts, 5 flyouts, and 5 strikeouts. Here's another one for Brennan, but this is right at the shortstop side, and quickly 3 up, 3 down. How about that for Castillo? Takes about 10 pitches, and we're going to go to the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, Castillo cruising here. He gives the fist pump, and man, oh man, Brennan just seems to love to knock him right back at the Mariners' ace. Luckily, this one gets past him and past his glove, but J.P. Crawford was stationed there close to the bag at second and is able to throw across for the easy out number 3. So things are going pretty smoothly here for the home team, John. Mariners looking strong, and I'm expecting a little bit more from their batters. It seems like they're getting closer to knocking Bieber around a bit. We'll see if they break through this inning.
Yeah, here's the interesting part for me, because when you think about Cleveland and you go into their 7th or 8th, and then you have James Karinchak and Emmanuel Clase, who I've seen a lot in the AL Central, especially Clase, the closer, has a 102 cutter. He's just absolutely devastating. So when you do get into that back end of the bullpen, and it's the same for the Mariners, their back end of the bullpen's no slouch either. This could be a very low-scoring game.
Yeah, it could. I'm thinking about the de facto closer for the Mariners, Andres Munoz, and then, kind of the unsung hero of that bullpen. He's been a stalwart now for multiple seasons, and frankly, I don't know why. There's just something compelling about him. I love his story. We were just talking about the Mets. This is a guy who was kind of forgotten in the Mets system and had a little bit of major league time, didn't make much of an impact, wasn't given a real opportunity. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the one and only Paul Sewald. He has been such a huge part of this bullpen for the Mariners, and a big reason why they've gotten a lot of close wins over the past few seasons.
Yeah, Mariners bullpen's been money as well, as we said. So both of these teams, as I've talked about, not even just the record between 92 and 70 and 90 and 72 for the Mariners on that side, they're both the real deal. I know the Indians had a little bit of an easier time because the AL Central was easier to get through. But for the Mariners, I mean, they're looking to continue to climb, and I think they're going to do so as Bieber delivers strike 1. And this is going to be a chance for Kelenic to be able to dig back in here, as you got 7, 8, and 9 bottom of the order here in the bottom of the 5th. And this is a changeup just toward the bottom of the left of the zone, and now it's 1-1.
Quick check in on another AL West matchup. The Angels are at Oakland. It's the top of the 5th. There are no scores, so similar ball games across both the Seattle market and the Oakland market, and that ball is fouled off by Kelenic, so the count runs to 1-2. Kelenic a little bit snake bitten in that first bat. He gave a good eye. But here's Bieber's 1-2 pitch.
That was hit hard, and that's through a couple of diving infielders, and Naylor and Gimenez, and Kelenic gets a base hit.
And Kelenic off the schneid in his second at-bat of the season. That's a great thing to see, and it is a seeing eye ground ball past the first and second baseman. And you know what, John? I'd say after his first at-bat, he was not robbed by any stretch. It wasn't a ball out of the zone, but Bieber just caught a perfect spot in the zone to get the looking strikeout. But Kelnic's been working hard. His spring training shows that, and his eye has really improved, and there's hit number 1 for the Mariners left fielder.
Absolutely. Tommy LaStella, who's had a pretty good at-bat his first time, he takes a changeup high up in the zone. He said that 0-0 score between the Angels and the Athletics. Unfortunately for Oakland, they got to go up against Shohei Ohtani today.
Yeah, good luck with that. You can say that literally anytime Ohtani's doing anything on a baseball diamond. Pitching, fielding, hitting, good luck to whoever's his opponent.
So runner goes, and here's the throw over. It's late. Stole the base for Jared Kelenic. And a good game for him so far, as it's man on second and no outs in the bottom of the 5th.
Jared Kelenic still a successful stolen base. That's the first attempt of this game, the first attempt for the Mariners this season. So they are 1 for 1, and Kelenic shows those wheels right there. And Zunino, he has a good arm, but he short hops that one. Rosario does a good job right there to stop that ball short and keep Kelenic at second.
So we'll see the clutch factor here for Shane Bieber. We know that he's got one. He's, again, Cy Young Award winner a couple times here for Cleveland. Whether you want to talk about the Indians or the Guardians, whatever it is now, Bieber's always been money. So we'll see what he can do now. LaStella has an opportunity to at least move the man over. That's what you got to do right now with no outs, as it's 1-2 against him. Bieber delivers pitch number 61. This is rocketed right to Naylor, and that will get the job done.
Yeah, that's what you like with nobody out and a runner on second. You want to deliver that to the opposite side of the field, let the runner advance. So LaStella, after getting worked a little bit in that at-bat, Bieber, man, he is really locating at the top of the zone in particular. And LaStella hangs in tough, And no, he doesn't get a base hit. That would, of course, would have driven in the run, but he still moves that runner 90 feet. And now, just like Suarez a couple innings ago, Kelnick stands in at third base, so the Mariners are about 90 feet away from getting run number one.
So J.P. Crawford, he could be the first to do it right now, and he'll break the seal in this game, give the Mariners possibly the first run of their campaign. We've still got 161 more of these. This is a marathon in baseball season, not a sprint, but you can say that in a lot of sports like this. J.P. Crawford, 1 for 1, a single in the third. As this is up near the hands, Crawford will lay off on it as it's now 1-1.
Good job. He really hit the spot that Zunino set up with the glove right there. They were looking up and in the whole time, and good job by Crawford to lay off of that one.
And I'm surprised I'm seeing that with my 4 eyes. He's hitting every spot in the order last season. So if J.P. Crawford can do that, you can certainly rely upon him, Cooper Hopkins, to get a good leverage at bat here.
And there's a 91-mile-per-hour fastball, John, that was moving away from the zone. And, boy, that's the kind of pitch that Castillo has gotten a call on. But it's a ball right there. So 2-1 now as Crawford stands in from the left side.
So Bieber delivers this one way high on the changeup, and this is going to fill it 3-1. And you got Julio Rodriguez waiting on deck. So we'll see what Bieber wants to do here. Again, Julio Rodriguez is very fleet-footed if it ever gets to the point where it gets crowded on base. J.P. Crawford waiting on the 3-1. Bieber's got to let this go. He's got 1 second to go on the clock, and this is swung right through in the middle of the zone, and Crawford's going to want that one back.
Yeah, that was right there. I think that Crawford was expecting something different, and Bieber takes a little bit off. That crosses the plate of 84 miles per hour. So the changeup right there fools Crawford and pulls him out of his shoes almost. 3-2 now the count.
So you can do this one more time per plate appearance on that. So I'm going to step out, grab the rosin bag, Shane Bieber. It's going to be a full count pitch upcoming. You got Kelnick at third. You got one out at the bottom of the fifth. John on here alongside with Cooper Hopkins as we're switching between play-by-play and color. Bieber delivers, and this one is right at first base. And as Kelnick, he's stuck at third. He's tailored there. So Julio Rodriguez is going to have to get it done with 2 outs.
Yeah, Crawford does a good job right there as a bat. He absolutely smoked that grounder. It was on Naylor so quickly that not only does he get the out at first, so Crawford goes down, but Kelnick doesn't have the option. If that would have gotten deeper in the infield, I think Manny Acta, Mariners third base coach, may have taken the gamble and sent Kelnick. But here are the Mariners with 2 down, and their best player at the plate here in the bottom of the fifth.
So Julio Rodriguez with an RBI opportunity in the bottom of the fifth, and that one is spiked again. And this is the 6th time that Zunino has had to get out of the crouch to be able to save a baseball, and that one is able to keep Kelnick at third.
Yeah, and it's still a big reason why he's in the major leagues, John, Mike Zunino. His defensive catching is still excellent.
Set to deliver the 1-0. Bieber, this one's right field slicing, and this is going to be caught. And we're going to go through 5 scoreless here at T-Mobile.
So just good positioning there by the Guardians outfield. Kelnick a little frustrated coming back to the Mariner dugout. I know that Rodriguez would have liked to place that one in the gap, but the Guardians were there for the fly out put away, and that means the Mariners twice now have stranded a runner at third base with just 1 out, John. So definitely something if you're following along to make note of. It's going to be a major factor if this game continues with goose eggs as we get deeper into the night.
Yes, it is, and then we're going to see how long both of these pitchers will go. And I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be much of a pitch count, although I always do hear on the first day opening day, you don't want to get these guys in the triple-digit markers. That's what they say at least. But when you have Castillo and you have Bieber with the veteran leadership that they have, we'll see how comfortable they feel. Probably at least get through 7 the way that this is staying.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that's what Scott Service and Terry Francona are both hoping for their pitchers respectively. Hey, if you get an 8th inning, it's a new season, and these pitchers are relatively fresh here coming out of their spring training assignments. If they're still rolling, I think they'll let them roll.
So I'm just going to go through this quickly. These will just be final scores, nothing in depth, as we have a little bit of a commercial. White Sox, they steal one against the Astros. They score a couple in the top of the 9th. They win 3-2. Blue Jays outslug the Cardinals, win that one 10-9. Pittsburgh Pirates upset the Reds. Really, if you want to call that an upset, 5-4. It is 5-3 win for the Mets over the Marlins as Scherzer gets one. The Twins shut out the Royals 2-0. It was a 5-0 lead for the Phillies at the top five. Then they gave up 9 runs, lost 11-7 to the Rangers, and we'll get more into that. We'll let Cooper get into the play-by-play.
Yeah, well, thanks for that scoreboard glance, John. Hey, it's the first day of the season. Always good to get an idea of what's going on around you and where things are going to shake out here in these early series and in the early spring. And right now, Castillo adjust the bill of that all navy cap with the silver S on the front, the classic Mariners logo from the great era of Ken Griffey Jr. all the way back. I remember. I'm old enough to remember when they made the switch, John, from the everyday blue and yellow to the navy blue and northwest green, as it's called. And those have been the classic colors with that logo for many decades now. And Mike Zunino wore those colors for a number of years. He's batting 8th here and looks at a ball that was up tall. So want to know the count. And Castillo delivers. This one pinballs around off the dirt and then between both of catcher Cal Raleigh's legs. Luckily, he's just fine with all that padding, as John pointed out earlier in our broadcast. And again, this is Cooper Hopkins here with you on the play-by-play for the moment. John Ott, the hopeless sports guy, as it were. He's on the color. Here in the top of the 6th, this Castillo delivers a strike that just catches the top outside corner of the zone. Zunino in disbelief just a bit. But the tracker had it as a strike. I don't think Mike did. Either way, it's 1-2. And here's the pitch. This one way up high at 94 miles per hour. And boy, John, I can just hear myself. Even the pace that we're having to call these pitches.
Great.
Yeah, Major League Baseball, it's a different feel, and I'm catching up to it. I'm just trying to stay on the treadmill, as it were. But Mike Zunino is off the treadmill right now. He was knocked off of it by Luis Castillo, making another strikeout on his 68th pitch. John, a swing and a miss at a 94 mile per hour fastball on the outside half. Down goes Mike Zunino, 1 away.
I know these guys are professionals, but Castillo making this look a little too easy, I think.
I agree with you, my friend. And Castillo delivers 94 miles per hour right there. Another strike in the lower third right there. Miles Straw looks on. So he's now down at the count 0-1. And big number 58 on the hill winds and fires. There's a 94 mile per hour fastball knocked foul. And that'll be taken by the ball girl out in short left field.
Yeah, you don't want to try to compete with all of them because honestly, the ball girl, ball boy, whoever's out there most of the time for these teams, they make some great catches.
They certainly do. And Miles Straw, he was 0 for 1 with a strikeout in the third. He pops up a 95 mile per hour fastball. And Cal Raleigh on the opening week bunting logo spray painted on the T-Mobile field. He maybe got distracted by the red, white, and blue of those colors right there. But he gets a high five from Ty France. He made the put out. Kind of stumbled forward making that catch, John, but he found the ball in his glove for 2 down.
Yeah, he did. You want to discard everything and make sure you don't step on it. You get into a good spot to locate the ball, and he certainly did that.
So Castillo, John, I think it's Zer's saying right here, Castillo is just rolling. And Stephen Kwan will now step in from the left side. He taps the plate twice. He's the leadoff hitter for these Cleveland Guardians wearing their road grays. He's going to show a bunt, and he will pull it back as the fastball is up high. A lot of pitchers are going to be up high because Stephen Kwan is all of about 5'6". So he's over 2 tonight with a foul out and a strikeout. And there's a 95 mile per hour fastball again. Castillo continues to just be laser beam focused on that outside part of the plate, especially when delivering to left-handed batters. So the 0-2, the one, I'm all over it. I'm ready for the strikeout call, John. The 1-1 pitch now is 1-2 as Kwan swings over the top of a slider. And Castillo continuing to work very quickly here. Kwan not even exiting the batter's box. The 1-2 pitch is going to be fouled off. That one is a 96, and it's up and well into the crowd on the third base side.
I'm not surprised that Kwan ended up showing bunt early. They got to break Castillo out of some kind of rhythm.
Absolutely. And Matty Benier stays in a good rhythm for the Kraken. He has a goal, as does Jaden Schwartz. And there's a 95 mile per hour fastball sent into the sky by Kwan and taken about 3 steps backwards is Julio Rodriguez. He settles underneath it and snags it with that glove for out number 3. No runs, no hits, no errors, no one left on, John. The Guardians with just the 1 hit tonight. Mariners coming back up for their half of the inning. They're going to look to add on to their 5 hits and hopefully get one across as this game is still tied at 0-0.
Yeah, and as you talk about, Cleveland doesn't normally strike out, but Castillo looking like a pitching machine. You program it and you want to place it, that's where he'll throw it. He's looked good right now. And talking about aging yourself in the previous sequence, you're talking about Ken Griffey Jr. I still think about Ken Griffey Jr. baseball on Super Nintendo, and then seeing him on the cover of Sports Illustrated for Kids. He was my favorite player growing up in the MLB.
Man, well, you know what? I was fortunate enough to be in the city as a young man and a teenager when Griffey was patrolling center field, that number 24, and my goodness, I was there. I remember John seeing Griffey when he tied the major league record of 8 home runs in consecutive games, which I believe has also been tied recently, potentially even last season or the season before by Mike Trout. But man, I was there at game number 8 when he sent another one beyond the wall in the Kingdom. So that's a bygone era. But man, Ken Griffey Jr., what more can you say? I'm not sure if you saw that video on Twitter or on social media of him taking batting practice with Team USA during the World Baseball Classic. But those are all big leaguers who have tons of accomplishments on their resumes, and they look like a bunch of 13-year-olds just watching their favorite player hit some balls into the outfield. It was pretty exciting.
That's what it is for me. I mean, playing all the positions and then closing it out with the Reds, just like his dad, because his dad was a great player. I remember all that stuff too on that side, although it was a little bit before my time. But still, you're in that steroid era, and everything that we know about Griffey, that was all free. That was power. That was a sweet swing. The kid had it all. He was an excellent player.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, John. If you want to, just jump in on the play-by-play here for a second. I'll jump in for the analysis.
Okay. We got Colton Wong. It's going to be 2-3-4 here for the Mariners. There's Red T-Mobile in the bottom of 6. We're scoreless. And Shane Bieber is back out there. And he almost spiked Colton Wong in the leg. It's a 1-1. He'll get set to dig back in. He's 0-for-2 with a fly out and grind out as the former St. Louis Cardinals product. So, John and I are with you on the play-by-play right now. We were switching on and off between Cooper Hopkins on that side. Alec, how are you doing? Thank you for listening along. And we got people on the YouTube side. I appreciate that. At John Ryan Ott. If you want some clear audio, you can join on the Twitter space, as it's 1-1, and it's a little late there for Colton Wong. And it certainly seems like for Shane Bieber, as we said, he threw 91 there, tops at about 91, 92. He's certainly messing up with the timing of the hitters. You got to be able to do that when you can't throw 98 like Castillo. Bieber's been really good at this for a long time. Another 91 mile an hour reached out and served out. And now this will be 1-2.
Yeah, John, a couple pitches ago, I think Bieber's one weakness tonight is he's been pulling down that slider into the dirt more times than certainly he would want to. But the count 1-2 here, and let's see what happens as he delivers from the windup. And Wong with a good job right there. That's what we were just talking about. Bieber spikes that one at 81 miles per hour just on top of the plate, so it runs 2-2.
Yeah, I know Zunino is like a platinum level catcher back there as far as being able to block balls and everything else, but he certainly had a workout right now. A lot of these, like you said, Cooper, haven't been spiked against Bieber. It's about to throw pitch number 75. We don't have it out yet in the bottom of the 6 as we're just underway here in the bottom of the 6 part of it. So the Mariners, they got about 5 hits right now. Cleveland's only got 1. Ty France is due up with a full count.
Yeah, good job by Colton Wong to run this count full. We'll see what Bieber does here with pitch number 6. And that one is laced foul down the first base line. And once again, I inadvertently stepping all over your play-by-play. So take it away, my friend.
All good on that side. Again, as they show it, it's a 22% MLB strikeout, about 23. Colton Wong's at 17. It's full count. Again, slammed. And this is a great catch by Naylor. Hit right on the screws by Colton Wong. That's a tough luck out.
Oh, man, that is just a classic right place, right time right there. And Naylor's had a couple of hot shots there, and he takes that one about chest high. And Colton Wong got all of that last pitch, but happened to hit it right at the big first baseman for the Guardians, so 1 down.
So that will bring up Ty France and then Teoscar Hernandez, as Bieber's going to have to deal with the meat of the order. Right now, it seems like either one of these pitchers, Cooper, are the least bit bothered by that.
Yeah, both of these guys are just dialed in, and that something's got to change. I will say, of course, the Mariners with those 5 hits, they've gotten to Bieber a little more frequently right there. Ty France gave a weak wave at strike number 1, but good eye right there at that ball just a bit outside to get the first ball of his at-bat, so 1-1 the count.
About to be pitch number 80 here for Shane. We got 1 on in the bottom of the 6th, and this one is served into center field. It's hit pretty good. This is off the top of the wall. And will this be a double for Ty France? They get the tag in time, safe, says the umpire. But Rosario is going to want to take a look at it, and I think Cleveland probably should.
Rosario, boy, he pulls that ball in from center field. Francona's looking for a replay right now. But first of all, let's just walk through this thing. Ty France shows you he doesn't just have to pull it, John. He sends this one oppo. He goes to the gap between center and right. This is about 3 feet away, maybe less. Boy, about 1.5 feet, John, for being a dinger. And that would have been the first run of the night for the Mariners. But it looks like, John, that the camera angle didn't do any justice. Ty France with the slide. He pulls up just in time, getting his left foot on the bag before Rosario can tag the shin. So it is a double on a great slide by Mariners first baseman Ty France, and here comes Teoscar Hernandez.
So that was a pretty good swing there by France. Eugenio Suarez had one a couple innings ago, but he got stranded at third. And now Teoscar Hernandez has Ty France at second with 1 out. Bottom of the 6th. We're at T-Mobile Park right now. John, I'm here with you alongside Cooper Hopkins as we're switching off between play-by-play and color. Bieber. And this is offered at by Hernandez. He was swinging out of his shoes. He'll have to do so again at 0-2.
Yeah, I think he was looking for a fastball there, and he got to exactly the opposite. That ball barely crossed the plate, so swinging over the top of it for strike number 2, and now Teoscar Hernandez down in the count. Bieber in control, but you know what? The Mariners continually getting runners in scoring position here. Let's see if they can finally push one across, just one away.
So Teoscar down in the hole 0-2 against Bieber. And Bieber, another off-speed pitch. This one's blocked by Zunino and stays in front. Ty France still kind of anchored at second base right now. They just showed it across the Root Sports feed that the Mariners are 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. They're going to look to change that right now. Bieber's given up 6 hits, but he's been able to strand them all. It's a 1-2 count against the former Blue Jay, now Seattle Mariner, Teoscar Hernandez, as Bieber delivers. And this one's cue shot. This will move France to third, and it will bring up Kyle Raleigh.
Well, John, we're certainly seeing a formula here from the Mariners, which is get a runner in scoring position, second base specifically, I should say, and then poke one over to the right side and move that runner to third base. Now, this time, the difference is that there are 2 down, so Cal Raleigh's going to have to find some green grass if he wants to get that run across. But you know what? His other option, how about just send one over the wall instead of 1? Why not get 2?
That's usually what he does. He was 1 for 2 with a single in the 4th, and you want to just get contact anywhere. But Cal certainly got the power as it's 1-0 against Raleigh.
Yeah, Bieber going back to that pitch that he's been relying upon tonight, that 84 or so mile per hour breaking pitch that's dropping a little below the zone. Raleigh, nice patience right there, 1-0.
Again, we take note of that pitch count clock as it's down to 5, and this is a call that Bieber is actually going to get. It was in the strike zone. We look like we're starting to have a little bit of warmth here in the bullpen as Stefan will get set to get settled here for the Guardians. Again, their back-end bullpen of Trevor Stefan there. They're excellent.
Yep, and Brash, I believe, is working for the Mariners as well, just in case.
So Raleigh, this is off the end of the bat. Stephen Kwan is going to come in, a shallow left, and we're through 6, and we don't have a score just yet.
Yeah, that's a tough one right there. I think Cal Raleigh, the way he exited the batter's box there, he slammed the head of the bat into the dirt. Would have liked another crack at that last pitch. But either way, this is now the refrain of the night, John, and hopefully it doesn't come back to bite this Mariners squad that's looked very, very good tonight. They've gotten the bat on the ball a number of times against Bieber, who is, of course, an elite pitcher, and their defenses looked solid. And I mean, what can we say about Luis Castillo? He's basically been perfect so far. But this motif of runners at third and just leaving them out there, that's eventually could spell bad news. But hopefully the M's find a way to get the job done here, John.
That's a perfect synopsis of what we've seen through 6. I mean, the only thing you would change if you're the Mariners is stop those RISPs from not reaching the base. So let's give you a few more finals. We're in the middle of a commercial break. We can get ready to go to the 7th. It was a 4-0 shutout. Shea McClanahan takes care of the Tigers. It's 4-0 shutout there for Dansby Swanson and the Cubs. He's got a new home. They closed out the Brewers. A wild game for the Baltimore Orioles against the Red Sox. They're able to come back and get a 10-9 win as Adley Rutschman, I think, was 4 for 4 with a home run in that game as well. Guess who hit the first home run of the regular season, Cooper Hopkins?
Oh, let's see, John. I'm going to take a peek here. Let's see. Is it okay? Give me a hint. Is it somebody that is obvious, or is it somebody completely random?
It's somebody very obvious that just made his return to the team after rumored to go elsewhere.
Ooh, okay. That could be. I'm looking at either Minnesota or the Big Apple. I'm going to say it's Judge. Did Judge send one out?
Judge sent one out. He hit the very first home run of the 2023 season as they blanked the Giants 5-0.
Well, it's only fitting. He picks up right where he left off. I mean, literally a historic season last year at the American League home runs. I mean, he is now at the top of the heap. It's a generational talent there in New York. And, I mean, that's what they've done throughout their entire history as a team, John. And Aaron Judge, yeah, no surprise. Just another one out of the ballpark.
Yep. And then one more final for you is 7-2, the Braves over the Nationals. If you want to take this one, Cooper, go right ahead as we're in the 7th.
Yeah, so interestingly, John, this is to the conversation we were having earlier. There goes Luis Castillo, and by there he goes. I mean, he goes through the bench right now to take a break because Matt Brash will take over for the Mariners here at the top of the 7th. So the Scott Service and his staff keep Luis Castillo's pitch count down tonight. I think he was in the mid-70s. It doesn't actually work through the 7th, so he has 6 full innings. His first pitch strike percentage was almost 80%, John. He was dealing tonight, and Scott Service going to lean on his bullpen here, and things look good so far. As Brash has, I was going to say Rosario, yes indeed, at 0-2, until that slider goes well wide for the first ball, 1-2 to count.
Yeah, and again, as we said, in between opening day, most starters only go 6 or 7 innings, so it's part of the course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Service saw a good spot to take out his starter, and boy, Matt Brash, he must have been inspired by the man with those dreadlocks. That is strike number 3, a wave and a miss by a slider down and away, and Rosario looks back at the big board for the replay, but it's not going to change anything, my friend. It's another strikeout for these Mariners pitchers.
Man, Rosario could have swung at that 3 times and he wouldn't have hit it.
Well said, my friend. And right now, Big Matt in, and the left side of the plate, it's Ramirez. After Rosario, that 89-mile-per-hour off-speed pitch bounces in, a la Shane Bieber. But this one by a Mariners pitcher, so Brash is behind now, 1-0.
I don't want to jump the well too many times, but Jose Ramirez is certainly someone that can break up some rhythms.
Yeah, no question about it. There's an 85-mile-per-hour off-speed that hits the outside portion of the plate, and the bat hits that ball foul. So it's going to be 1-1. And Ramirez, like most of the Guardians tonight, is 0 for. He is 0 for 2 with a ground out and a line out in tonight's game. So Brash, from the windup, raises that light khaki glove over his head and fires in ball number 2. Ramirez did offer at it, but apparently held up. The appeal was down to the third base umpire. He gives the safe sign, so 2 balls and 1 strike.
Seems like the Guardians actually got a benefit of the call when they probably haven't had some for Bieber.
That's true. So maybe things balancing out just a bit here as the pitch clock gets down to 2 seconds. And there's Brash with a 99-mile-per-hour fastball low and away that catches the zone. Count runs even. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
That was an absolutely filthy pitch.
Yeah, Brash had been dealing a lot of off-speed stuff that comes back at almost 100. And that's an 87-mile-per-hour slider that does catch the zone, at least if you're going by what the tracker indicates, but Raleigh lets that thing rattle out of his glove, and it actually squirted over to the, toward the on-deck circle on the Mariners side, so that was counted as a ball. So the count is full to Ramirez here. Now Brash, from the windup, is going to fire this one, and he gets Ramirez all the way down to the seat of his pants. Ramirez swings and misses for strike number 3. Back-to-back Ks for Brash.
Cooper, that's ridiculous. You don't see that very often for somebody as good as Jose Ramirez, but this kind of just tells you the amount of filthy stuff both of these pitching staffs are featuring. Whatever that slider is for Brash that he's putting there, it's got like some Bugs Bunny movement to it.
Yeah, John, this is another classic night in sports for you and I covering a game. I don't think I've ever seen a player go down that embarrassingly, but that was Jose Ramirez of all people. But here's Josh Bell. He's 0 for 2 with 2 ground outs. And the same pitch that Ramirez fell down swinging at is looked at twice now by Bell. So good discipline by the big switch hitter for the Guardians. It's a 2-0 count, and Brash is going to take a moment here. I can't believe I'm saying this in a Major League Baseball game, but 6 on the pitch clock. And boy, oh boy, flip that 6 upside down, put another one next to it, make it 99. Yet again, that fastball swung on and missed. 2 balls and 1 strike.
Again, these Guardians hitters, they've been a little late.
But on that one, Josh Bell is right on time. And I think, John, that is only the second hit of the night for Cleveland. So Josh Bell winds up and puts the barrel on that pitch and knocks it past Colton Wong into right field. Teoscar tosses back in, but Bell will be at first base with 2 away. So we'll see if the Guardians can get anything going here, John. They certainly haven't prior to this moment.
Yeah, it was a nice adjustment there by Bell. After getting blown away by 99, he gets 97, a little bit more settled, and he knocks it through the right field line.
So the first pitch from Bell to Josh Naylor, who's batting 5th, is up and away. So Naylor has seen a ball, and he will wait for Matt Brash's 16th pitch of the night. Bell over at first. No check of the runner. Brash delivers. And that one is up tall at 88 miles per hour. And Naylor offered at it, and he did cross that front margin of the plate. So it's going to be 1 ball and 1 strike. Brash lets that right arm hang, gets the sign from Cal Raleigh, and settles. From the stretch, will fire. And that 87 mile per hour slider is low and inside. 2 balls and 1 strike. So Josh Naylor, he was one of 2 Guardians last year with 20-plus home runs in the season. So we know that he can do damage, and that would be very detrimental to the Mariners right now. They've had so many runners in scoring position but haven't been able to push them across. And there's an 85 mile per hour breaker that's floating right there just enough for Kelnick, who is playing basically because of the reason that we were just describing, because of Naylor's power, playing pretty deep toward the track, but he settles underneath it for out number 3. So no runs, 1 hit, and 1 runner left stranded. That's Josh Bell, and it's time to stretch, John. It's time to sing. It's time. Well, it used to be time for Louie Louie. That was the song that was always played at the Kingdome and at T-Mobile Park. And I'll leave it up to you to decide whether it's a good thing or not. I think they play like a Macklemore song during the 7th inning stretch now. So that's up to you. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Either way, we're heading to the bottom of the 7th. No score.
So I want to just throw this out there. We're about an hour and a half in the broadcast time. I know it's a 0-0 game, so it's going to move quicker, but hour and a half in the broadcast time, and we're in the bottom of the 7th. How's that treating everybody right now? I think these rules and everything else are going to look good. Again, Cooper and I, admittedly, I could probably say this more for myself on that side. I was interested in the opening night to see how the broadcast would go. I have the stats and stuff in front of me, trying to get everything settled for last night, get some preps and some notes, but it feels like this pace and everything else is really good. It's going to be an enjoyable season here in 2023.
Yeah, John, I agree with you. And you know what? It's just, as we try to comment about this game, of course, we're literally giving our comments. We're describing the plays, and we're giving our thoughts about these players and what's happening in the game story. I'm just noticing myself, I have to keep my pace up. I got to keep myself moving too. I feel myself, I wouldn't say chasing it a little bit, but this is just a different brand of baseball, and I'm feeling good about it so far.
I think it kind of helps in the sense of doing a lot of hockey games, doesn't it, Cooper? I know it's not the exact same thing, but you got to keep pace on that end, and it certainly feels like baseball's trying to bring more of that. I think that's going to be good.
Yeah, John, this is a really interesting development. I mean, it's a fun time to be a baseball fan. I frankly am glad that Major League Baseball has not been afraid to make these changes. And as you mentioned earlier, many thousands of at-bats were used to test these new strategies, the rules, and the pitch clock. And it looks like they've got this thing. It's not completely locked in. They're certainly right on target. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, when they talked about it in the 1,500 regular or minor league games on there on that side, they've tested it well. It's Trevor Stefan now. He's been really good on the bullpen here for the Guardians. They make their change.
Yeah, absolutely. He held batters to a 238 average last year. He had 82 strikeouts. So this is somebody that John was just mentioning an inning ago. And Eugenio Suarez, Mariners' third baseman, is going to be the first to face him. And he sees a 94 mile per hour heater down low. 1 ball, no strikes.
So now we get to the final 6 to 9 out hits here. I wonder if someone's just going to run into one right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the recipe that at least the Mariners are looking to cook up. So the 1-0 pitch is just outside if you go by the tracker. Same miles per hour at 94, but That's a Castillo-like call, as the strike is indicated by the ump behind the plate. So 1-1. It's so interesting to watch that pitch clock work its way down. 4 seconds were remaining as Suarez swings at an 84-mile-per-hour breaking pitch that he just gets a piece of. It drops into the dirt in front of Zunino. So 1 ball and 2 strikes. Suarez is 1 for 2. He had a double back in the 3rd inning that he laced into the gap between left and center. And Stefan is ready now. He's going to deliver, and that one is up high at 93 miles per hour, or just underneath the letters. 2-2.
So now we're going to have Seawald warming up on the other end for the Mariners.
Yes, indeed. This is a pitcher that I was mentioning earlier, one of my favorite Mariners in a long, long time, and I'll be pleased to see him one way or another. But boy, oh boy, Eugenio Suarez not pleased with that swing as he goes right through a pitch that came down Broadway at 85 for strike number 3, and there is 1 out in the bottom of the 7th.
Certainly with this pitch clock, and I know it's just one game on that side of it, but it certainly seems like you can tell these pitchers might be able to throw some more hittable pitches. You're going to get more pitches in play. So if you're a batter like that, if you're Suarez, you can't miss it. You probably could have put that in left field seats.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And there's another good placement right there at 94. Kelnick's had a good eye all night, but it's, again, been a little snake bitten. That one just catches the outside corner at 94. No balls and a strike to the Mariners left fielder. Here in the bottom of the 7th in Seattle at T-Mobile Park. No runs for either squad. Mariners facing these Cleveland Guardians, both playoff teams last season. 1 away after the Suarez strikeout, and that last pitch from Stefan is down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. 8th pitch coming up here from Stefan. He gets the side, takes his time. He'll deliver. This one is on the inside corner. It's fouled back by Kelnick. Zunino tosses off the mask, but it's about 6 rows back there on the third, just slightly on the third base side. And Kelnick kind of nodding to himself, probably going through his routine here. Takes a nice deep breath and a quick chat with the umpire. And we'll get himself settled here, John. Stefan signals for Zunino to reroute these signs, and they finally come to a conclusion. You can see the breeze is blowing in from right field here at T-Mobile, and that 88-mile-per-hour breaker is down low in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kelnick.
It's not very often for me on the East Coast to see an opening day night game, but I love it.
Yeah, and I will say, and I know at least one of our listeners, Ross, or I think he's over on the YouTube side, one of my pals from Seattle. We've been fortunate enough to take in many games at T-Mobile Park, and you'd think, it might be too cold, might be breezy, might be blustery. But any game at T-Mobile Park is great. But the night games there as well, the Seattle skyline, it's just a beautiful place to watch baseball. And speaking of watching, that's what Kelnick does to that 87-mile-per-hour two-seamer that's inside. So the count runs full. This is not the first time that Kelnick's had a full count tonight. He was punched out looking in his first at-bat by Shane Bieber. Let's see if he can change the outcome here in the bottom of the 7th. And the 3-2 pitch is drilled into the night sky, John, deep into center field, but settling underneath it is Straw, who was on the run. Kelnick looks up into the stands. He knows he was just a smidge away from getting one for the Mariners. Good job by Straw to get on his horse, and with his numbers to the plate, he makes the catch for out number 2.
I'm glad you mentioned that in the previous at-bat. I know he punched out with a full count last time. That one he got when he could lace. He's had some of the best at-bats right now for Seattle.
Yeah, Kelnick has looked good, and even though it hasn't been a hit every time, his eyes look good. He's got the barrel to the ball. Great stuff. And here's Tommy LaStella. He stings one over to third base, and the toss across is just in time. Naylor has to stretch a bit, but ultimately makes a pretty routine play. So LaStella looks at one pitch, and that is out number 3. And we talked about Paul Sewald. He takes off the warm-up sleeve, and he will make his way to the mound to pitch the top of the 8th, John, right after a break.
So since you got home field advantage here, you want me to take the 8th and you take the 9th or the extras if we get it?
Yeah, let's go for it. I'll give you the 8th, and then we'll see what happens here. And I hope you enjoy it. Paul Sewald is always he's a fun watch as a Mariners fan. So jump in there, and we'll see what goes on.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this nonetheless. I knew we said we were going to get a baseball game, try to get something on opening day, and I thought it was going to be on MLB Network, and didn't know because of the T-Mobile and just moving stuff over that are going to be able to get 2023 season in the back pocket. So this is better than I could have expected. I got everything all set up last night, got the notes, made sure everything was all good, and I was just beyond excited when you sent that to me. I was like, Holy cow, this is happening. This is real.
Yeah, it is definitely the biggest perk of. I don't use that. It's like, as you now know, it's through that T-Mobile Tuesdays app, and they do usually it's like coupons for a free donut at Dunkin', or just like a half off movie ticket or something like that. I don't ever go that way, but once a year I come back to the app and keep it on my phone because I know that as long as T-Mobile and Major League Baseball keep their partnership, it seems like this deal is going to continue. And yeah, I've been the beneficiary for a couple of seasons now. Man, I'd say maybe even 3 or 4. Again, one of our listeners, Ross, he's going to probably text me right now to tell me how long he has been telling me about this deal. And yeah, I was glad I was able to pass it along to you. And get ready, you got access to everything. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the way that this is going to end up working again, there's a lot of other stuff coming up next week, but we will cherry pick some of these baseball games. I'll make sure that Cooper and I get some Mariners games. Again, we will be working on the Stanley Cup playoffs, be doing some of that stuff with Alec, and then we get into the finals. I mean, that's really going to be one way, but there's 162 of these regular season games, so I'm certain we're going to be getting quite a few of these. And I'm looking at Aaron Judge's home run, and that was a judging blast, as they say, over the center field wall. Number 99. He is a big human being. He looks like a linebacker.
Yeah, he definitely does. Boy, he sent that ball deep into center field. And I love that it not only was his first home run of the season, but it was the Yankees' first hit of the season, their first run of the season. Couldn't draw it up any better, John, for the Yanks.
Nope. And you got Paul Sewald on the other end now. He's going to be taking care of the 8th. And you're going to have Andres Gimenez. And for Andres Gimenez, and I get a chance to get to this as I look at the notes side of it for mine, it was a 7-year extension at 106.5 for the 24-year-old. They get right out in front of that, and they're going to get a tremendous value, I think, for seasons and seasons to come. That's the point of Cleveland trying to lock everybody up for a fair price. And if you're Cleveland, you're taking a pay cut, but they're certainly happy about that right now to get his services locked in. It's 1-1 against Sewald. He gets jammed with the fastball. We'll take a look at it. For a third base side, and Eugenio Suarez will make the catch on the dirt. 1 up, 1 down.
Nice job by Suarez. That's not an easy play right there. Of course, third base used to be controlled by Kyle Seager, old number 15 for the Mariners. Was able to be at his last game as a Seattle Mariner a couple seasons back, and Suarez has done a very good job at third base. Of course, he's known for that big power, but of course he's done a good job at third as well on the defensive side. So 1 away. Paul Sewald, worth mentioning as well, John, held batters just above 140 with a batting average last season.
That's absolutely deadly on that side. You're not getting much done if you're a batter at the plate, as it's 0-1 up a fastball high. It was in the strike zone. And Sewald delivered his pitch number 5 out of the bullpen right now on the top of the 8th with 1 out. And swung right through the 91. So just as I say for Cleveland a few innings ago that they need to get ready for the fastball, they're getting blown away by 91. That's Will Brennan on a couple of pitches there as it's 0-2. 0-2 pitch set to be delivered here for Sewald. And off the fastball. Off the top of the right part of the strike zone, it's fouled back, and we'll do it again.
If I had to give any advice to Paul Sewald, I would say maybe borrow one of Philip Grubauer's masks, because Brennan likes to fire those pitches right back at the pitchers where they came from. Look out.
0-2. We'll see what happens now. And this one is a curve that's soft served into the third base line. Well, Brennan again 1 for 2, and as Cooper said, all of his contact is just sprayed right down the middle. So you got to be patient on that side. Make sure you know where that ball's going to go. And if you're a pitcher, probably got to duck, as it's still 0-2. And Sewald, that was a sick curveball, and that was right at the bottom of the strike zone. Probably could have been a strike anyway, but Brennan strikes out.
Yeah, that is Sewald's signature pitch for sure. He has about 95, maybe 96 on his fastball, but he prefers that kind of cutting slider. It's not a typical slider. You see a lot more east-west movement from it. It keeps it low. Brennan couldn't resist. Swings over the top. Out number 2.
And we know about this before. Like you said, the former Mariner now, Zunino, is with the Guardians as he gets busted up in him with a fastball. And in the hands, it makes it ball 1 on Mike Zunino. He was injured a lot last year, and that was a problem a couple of years ago for the Rays. Again, he had about 35, 40 bombs, so he can definitely do it. He's got to stay healthy. He could have taken a cut at the 91, but he's going to let that one go by for a 1-1 count.
And Sewald, prior to every pitch, he always raises both hands skyward, kind of keeps those sleeves off of the elbow crease, and here's the 1-1 that swung on and missed by Zunino. I couldn't resist, John. I'm a Seawald fan, so let's see if he can get the job done. You take the 1-2 call here.
And he was a little late on that, was Zunino. He was going for the downs. 34-22 record, 1-run games last season for Seattle, 28-17 for Cleveland. As Zunino waits on the 1-2. 12 pitches into his day now as Seawald as he gets set to deliver. This one's popped up the center field side, and Julio Rodriguez got a great jump. We'll see who's going to take this one. It's Rodriguez, as they didn't call each other off to J.P. Crawford, but they can laugh about it. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th.
I have to say, John, I was literally holding my breath during that play. And yes, the big glove of Rodriguez out in center ultimately is the destination for that pop-up from Zunino. But that was a little sketchy there for a second. But all's well as ends well, as the saying goes. So that's it for the Guardians at the top of the 8th. Bottom 8 coming up, still no score. The Mariners have been close. Can they finally break through, my friend? That's the question.
Yeah, they got 6 outs in regulation, as it were, to get it done. And if we do go to extras, it's still going to be a runner at second base to start. They've stuck with those rules. So, but it's a 0-0 game right now, going to the bottom of the 8th.
Now, let me ask you, since we have a moment here with the commercial break. Now, it was a couple seasons back, a few seasons back now, that there was the automatic runner at second. Do you remember that being implemented, and what you feel about it when you first saw that? Or did it throw you off, or were you game for it right away?
I was game for it in the regular season as long as they didn't implement it in the playoffs, and that's exactly what they did. They made sure they didn't implement it in the playoffs. But, I mean, I understand the pace of play on that side. I know Cooper is a little muted on that side. I understand the pace of play part of it. I was a little worried about it at the beginning, but as long as they didn't do any of those kind of crazy things in the playoffs, I'm good with it.
Yeah, and I apologize. I tapped my screen there, but the mute button stayed muted, so I was giving you my reply. But anyway, the gist of what I was saying is that you and I are definitely of the same mind on that, and it would have been I think a bridge too far to try to change anything about the playoff format. But yeah, again, Major League Baseball, kind of keeping the pace going. That was them dipping their toe into the water and making sure that extras didn't go too long. Although when we think about this Mariners team last season, of course, their season came to a close on an absolutely epic extra innings game. Gosh, John, I think it was 18 when the Houston Astros finally finished off the Mariners in their series.
Yeah, and you can think about that. They got James Karinchak on the mound. You ever watch Major League? He comes out to the same music as Charlie Sheen, Wild Thing, James Karinchak, when they're in Cleveland. He's got an absolutely electric fastball.
And he's got pants that he's taking a note from Robbie Ray's fashion notes. I don't know how to say it, but either way, Karinchak's wearing mediums when I think he needs an XL.
So J.P. Crawford, it's 9-1-2. That part of the order has been pretty good when Crawford's that is. You can request a new baseball a couple times, but as soon as you touch it, that's going to start the clock on Karinchak. So it's 0-2, and JP is 1 for 2 in this game right now. We're in the bottom of the 8th. We're scoreless here at T-Mobile. JP awaits on the pitch. Got to go quickly, and this is going to be a ball. So this is the first one we get to see now, Cooper. Ball 1.
Yes, it is, John. I was watching on the scoreboard right there that the pitch clock dropped down to 1 and then 0. Karinchak has to shake this off. It's 1-2 now.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind it. I think it keeps the pace of play. We see everything is still in order. And he didn't shake that one. He spiked it into the fence. 2-2.
Oh, 96 miles per hour. That goes up and over everyone. That was over the umpire's head. Luckily for those folks in the first and second row, there's some netting there. Yikes.
We go from Major League to Bull Durham. Hit the ball. And now we got to go back out and get a meeting with Zunino and Karinchak.
Interesting, John. This actually is very, very intriguing. Now Zunino has to settle his reliever down after the automatic ball is called because of the pitch clock. Here we go. First game of the season. It's a whole new deal. This is fascinating.
And you know what's great now? You get the fan reaction. Everybody's standing, clapping their hands. They're cheering, getting loud. Karinchak over the 2-2, and this gets fouled back by Crawford.
Yeah, good job by Crawford. He's got to stay focused too, because these are changes not just for those guys on the mound, but
Yes.
those at the plate as well. He fouls back a 96-mile-per-hour heater that was up and in.
So Crawford trying to be able to stay alive here as he waits again on the 2-2. And that's a good-looking curveball, but that was inside. Just try to disrupt the timing of JP, but an even better look to just stare at it. And you have Julio Rodriguez on deck.
Full count now after being down 0-2.
So JP waiting on the full count pitch. And this one would have been a ball, but he gets a good cut on it and falls back, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, JP, this is a nice at-bat right here. It looked like he was going to be down early after, again, going down 0-2, but he's battled back here. We'll see if he can get one into play.
Pitch number 7. And a foul tip. No walk, I think. So JP is going to step back into the box.
John, actually, I'm taking a look here. Did he hold back? We're getting a close-up replay. Did the ball contact the bat, or did it just rattle out of Zunino's glove? I'm getting another look at it here.
That's what the announcers are confused about, too, and that's why I have a little trepidation. I apologize. I'm still waiting for the word myself.
No, it looks like as we get the other angle, that should be ball 4. Terry Francona is now out and arguing Zunino, laughing about whatever they're discussing. He's literally laughing as the umpire has a conversation with Francona here, John. I think Francona's been a little frustrated with the strike zone and a couple of calls that Castillo got and that Bieber didn't get. But that is, I believe, a held swing by Crawford and an indication down to the third base umpire. He says ball 4. I'm not seeing the ball make contact with the bat there, are you?
No, I'm not. That's what they talked about in the broadcast first. I think this should be ball 4. And again, I don't blame Tito on the other end or Zunino for laughing, because I don't think they think that they've gotten benefit of the calls.
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, interestingly enough, Mike Zunino, looking over at his former Mariner teammates, he laughs over at them as well. I think he's been entertained, maybe a little with a little chagrin about what's going on with the umpires tonight. If you're a Cleveland Guardians fan or player, but Terry Francona, he has to slink back to the dugout. John, it's a runner on first with nobody out. They got speed, the Mariners do, and here comes Julio.
So for Julio Rodriguez, do you lay into the first one or do you take it? He takes this one. The only reason why I say that is we're talking about Karinchak being Wild Thing. He can definitely spike the ball, but when he places it, it's going to be velocity. So we'll see what Julio Rodriguez does. He's had pretty much at-bats with runners in scoring position. This is another time for him. 0-1 pitch. This one's very high, and now it's 1-1.
Yep, both of these pitches to Julio at 96 miles per hour, so you know what Karinchak likes. He likes to fire and fire often. He did try to take some off against JP, so we'll see if Julio's ready for the breaking stuff as well.
We'll see how much of a lead JP Crawford gets set to take as this fastball is up top left of the strike zone, make it 2-1 against Julio Rodriguez.
Yep, Zunino doing a decent job trying to frame that one, but clearly up and away, so 2 balls and 1 strike. And Andres Munoz now warming up. The Mariners' big closers getting ready in the bullpen.
Another one of the big men, and it's really good pitching staffs on both sides. Make it ball 3.
Same spot there. Karinchak can't find the 95-mile-per-hour four-seamer. He's letting that one slide up and out of the zone. So 3 balls and 1 strike. Julio with a hitter's count here. And again, speed at first base and Mariners shortstop JP Crawford.
I'm going to tell Julio to swing on this one, but we're going to get a throw over. That's just my guess. Again, these guys know what they want to do. Colton Long will be up next. 251 hitter last season, 15 bombs, 47 RBI, 65 runs, and 17 stolen bases. It's Naylor, Gimenez, and Rosario. They're on the normal shifts as it would be. The second place plays second base, and the short plays short. No crazy shifts this year.
You can hear those Mariners fans getting loud here for Julio. He's 0 for 3 tonight, but 3-1 the count. It's another hitter's count. Let's see what he has for us.
So 3-1. This one's in on the hands, and it'll follow back. That was a good pitch by Karinchak.
Good pitch. Julio makes the right call to swing there. He reads it as a strike. It would have been a strike had he held the bat back. So we have a full count here. And Julio Rodriguez, a 50.7 hard hit rate last season. The major league average was not even 39%. Julio can really knock it around the park.
Full count pitch, and this one is off the end of the bat to center field. Miles Straw is under it, and Julio Rodriguez is out. It was very cool on the T-Mobile side. You could hear the Julio chants. I like that.
Yeah, Julio with a bit of a grimace there, kind of the aw shucks, hand clapping to the hands as he heads back to the dugout. Karinchak asking for time. Of course, he's had issues with the pitch clock here. He wants another baseball. But Julio just didn't get all of that one. It was, like you said, John, off the end of the bat, and Straw settled underneath it, routine out number 1. But Crawford's still at first, 1 away. Colton Wong 0 for 3 with a line out in the 6th, but he can knock it around as well.
Yeah, he certainly makes contact with the ball. I can't make contact with that one. It's up near his dome, and it's 1-0. I'm kind of wondering if the pitch clock is going to change some of the stress of these at-bats, but it still keep the same pace, and you still have the same sweats with runners on base. You feel pretty good about the broadcast pace. It's been a lot of fun, as this is up in on the hands of Wong and racing toward the left field side, but it's foul. Stephen Kwan gave it a look. It's 1-1 now.
Yeah, Kwan just too far away from that one. You have Colton Wong, left-handed hitter, so you know the outfielders are going to shade to that side. He wasn't able to chase that one down in foul territory. 1-1 the count. The infielders get set yet again. They're shifting a little bit. Again, as John said, we're not talking about the shift. They're just moving a little bit closer if they're the third baseman and shortstop to that second base bag. So Crawford takes his lead. Here's the 1-1 pitch.
So Karinchak had to request a new baseball for the 4th time. Now he gets set to throw in as 95 again up toward the face of Colton Wong, make it 2-1. So Karinchak doesn't like the stitching on the baseball right now.
Yeah, but he still can't find that 95-mile-per-hour four-seamer. It's running up and in now for this left-handed batter.
And again, he's a setup guy for Emmanuel Clase, as this one is roped down the right field line, but it's foul. That was a good swing on an inside pitch.
Yeah, Colton Wong immediately kind of sighs with a little bit of disbelief. I think he knew he was on that one, just turned it. He kind of spun on that pitch and was a little bit early, pulls it foul into the crowd.
So make it 2-2. Karinchak, pitch number 18, with the out on the bottom of the 8th with a runner on first. Colton Wong. He's going to have to wait a little longer as they throw over on J.P. Crawford again. You get one more freebie, and if you don't get anybody out the 3rd time, it's automatic next base.
Yep, so Karinchak hasn't looked completely comfortable here. Obviously, he gave up the walk to Crawford after having 0-2. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Wong.
Karinchak delivers, fastball high. Colton Wong a little bit late on it, and he'll follow back and do it again.
Crawford, yep, he heads back to first base. Had a bit of a joke there with Rosario, a little smile between those two players. Colton Wong takes a deep breath. He's got that, I feel like we're sponsored by T-Mobile. We're not, but he's got that T-Mobile pink back grip wrapped around the handle, and it's a 2-2 pitch yet again.
Some pitch clock down to 3. Gets set to deliver. Out in front of it, it's Colton Wong, and he's going to follow it down the third base line. This is yet another extended at-bat. Jared Kelnick was good at this, and Colton Wong trying to do his best impression, trying to come through in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, John, one of the other stories of the night here, this is not only just the Mariners leaving runners in scoring position, but they've been right around it. Good at-bats for these guys.
2-2 pitch. That was a curveball high, and good job by Colton Wong to spin on it. Don't know if it froze him a little bit, but that was a little bit too high.
Yep, and Karinchak, when he's been missing, John, he's been missing high. You don't often see that 12-6 curveball from him, but he tried it right there. Let's see what he goes with on the payoff.
Oh, my goodness. Throw over, and that was almost a disaster to Naylor.
Boy, yeah, John, the camera angle didn't do us any favors right there.
No.
For a second, I thought that Karinchak's toss across to first actually went up and over and may have hit the wall or gotten near the fans, but Naylor, for the second time tonight, had to go up high and kept that one.
And this hits Colton Wong. First and second now. What an at-bat, but that one's going to hurt a bit.
Yeah, that one catches Wong right on the elbow, and boy, yet again, Karinchak obsessed with getting a new baseball at any opportunity. He runs that pitch well inside. Luckily, that ammo shield, that guard is on the elbow right there and hits him square in the tricep. And Colton Wong looks no worse for wear. He simply drops the bat. And now the Mariners, runners at first and second with just one away, De Los Santos, now the righty, now warming up in the Cleveland bullpen.
And we have the pitching coach coming out here for Cleveland just to discuss some things. Karinchak, again, as you said, I think that was a good call a couple times. Josh Naylor, it's a hell of a jump for him again. The second time he saved a baseball from going into a disastrous era. But for Karinchak, the seventh time that he's had to grip a baseball, it's almost a psychotic thing here for James Karinchak. I know it seems like an odd word choice, but I don't think he's focused as much on the batter as he needs to be more so than the baseball.
Yeah, John, it's a hypothetical. We'll never know. But Karinchak does seem to have been bothered and is not fully settled after that pitch clock error that he made that resulted in a ball to J.P. Crawford. That's one of the balls that counted up to 4, and that was the first base runner of this half inning.
Oh, that one's high.
Oh, my goodness, both you and I see what we just saw there. And Ty France, he had the front row seat to a 95-mile-per-hour heater that was up by his eyeballs.
As he gets serenaded with booze, does Karinchak here at T-Mobile. Now for Ty France, you don't know which way this ball is coming, but if it gets toward the middle of the sweet spot, probably let it go. If you can find something, if 1-0, and this is a good pitch by Karinchak, so he does bounce back a little bit. That one was up toward the face part of it, and we'll do it again. That would have been a strike anyway. Top part of the strike zone.
Yeah, Ty France is cut right there just a little bit underneath it, and worth mentioning, Ty France has set the record in Mariners history for most hits by pitch. So the ball is attracted to him for sure.
And Ty France down the right field line. Is it going to go? It's off the top of the wall. It's gone. Ty France with a 3-run bomb.
Unbelievable, John. That had just enough, and the fireworks are going off at T-Mobile Park. So forget about the zeros on the scoreboard. It is 3-zip Mariners, courtesy of Ty France. Viva la France, my friend. Unbelievable.
Wow. I mean, I will give credit. I know Ty France, he knocked it out. Colton Wong with a great at-bat. J.P. Crawford the same way. The Karinchak was on the ropes. They made sure that he stayed on the ropes before Ty France maybe could have pulled a kill shot right now. We'll see what happens with Munoz in the top part of the order, but Mariners got to feel good. They've been leaving some people on base, but Karinchak says goodbye as we go to commercial break.
Boy, oh boy, John. I am smiling ear to ear. Obviously, a lifelong Mariners fan. To start the season this way, and of course, listen, as you just said astutely, this game is not over just because Ty France hit a home run, but hard not to be excited about that one. The Mariners have been so close all night long, and finally they get a hit with a runner in scoring position. There happened to be one on first as well, and guess what? That hit happened to leave the yard. 3-0 Mariners, man. That's a pretty exciting play right there from the big first baseman for Seattle.
Yeah, and again, I want to just go back to this. I know I just repeated myself, but in the side of Crawford, Rodriguez, and Colton Wong, you certainly could have swung at something out of the zone, maybe put a bad part of the bat on it and put yourself in a disservice. But the Mariners, I think for the most part of this game, yes, they've left some runners in scoring position before that, but they certainly made sure that Karinchak had to work through whatever he was working through before they delivered the salvo by France.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be really interested to hear what Ty France has to say about what he, typically players who have a hit of that magnitude are interviewed after the game, and usually you'll hear something along the lines of, what did you see during that at bat? What were you looking for? I would be surprised if he wasn't looking for something up tall, because Karinchak, when he's been missing, he's been up at that upper portion of the strike zone, or as we saw in the first pitch to France, and that one that went back to the screen, way, way high. So that's what it looks like France was looking for to me. He kept the barrel real level on his swing. And let's not forget, John, earlier in this game, he had a huge double that just missed getting out by about 1.5 or 2 feet. And that was also to the opposite field. So France showing that Oppo Taco power tonight, serving it up for 3 runs. Nice stuff from France.
Absolutely. Now you still got Teoscar Hernandez and Kyle Rowley after next. So if you're the Mariners, you want to make sure if you already haven't blown this game wide open, still got a couple more outs to work with before you go to the bottom part for Munoz. So now Teoscar Hernandez against De Los Santos. So Karinchak doesn't really do the job. He comes in the 8th. He gets 1 out, but he gets served up 3 as Bieber was untouched. Castillo was untouched. And the starters are really good in this game, and that was the first blemish. As Teoscar takes the ball outside.
Yep, and Daniel De Los Santos for the Guardians, 50 games last season, and he held batters to a 208 average. So pretty decent there. I mean, he's no Paul Sewald, LOL, but definitely a solid reliever here. He's going to try to limit the damage as Teoscar fouls the 93-mile-per-hour two-seamer up into the first base crowd.
A little late on that one was Teoscar Hernandez, but he certainly had the right idea down the right field line. 0 for 3 right now as he's batting cleanup. 267, 25 bombs last year for the Blue Jays. 1-2 pitch, and he swings and misses, offers it off-speed pitch, way down in the zone, punches out.
Yeah, not a great look right there. I think just doing a little too much, and you'd like to see potentially a little more patience there. But Teoscar offers something that's well down and away, and that is strike number 3. But my goodness, Ty France, certainly the MVP of this game for the Mariners. Should it end this way, 3 for 4, a double, a single, a 3-run jack. Boy, he's a triple away from the cycle. But if things stay this way, and I certainly hope they do, he's not going to have another at bat. As Cal Raleigh now flips one out into left field. It looks like it might drop, and it will, as it's not caught. It was there in foul territory. I think that was Ramirez trying to run it down, John.
Jose Ramirez was in full flight. You get a chance to look at this now. I'm going to great angle the Ty France shot. You want to hit it in the correct spot of the ballpark, but again, Ty France 3 for 4 as they signal and they flash those lights. Julio Rodriguez with the smile of the young kid on his face. But let's face it, he is a young kid. He's 22.
Boy, that $1 million megawatt smile from Julio Rodriguez. If you see that look on his face, you know something's going right for the Seattle Mariners.
And again, then back into the bullpen there, especially for both these teams. Now for Seattle, Munoz got to be feeling pretty good. Kyle Raleigh, just for right now, you think you want to swing for the fences. Again, this will go to the left field side. Stephen Kwan going to call everybody off, but the Mariners do the job. Ty France with the big shot. It's 3-0, and Cooper gets set to close this one in the ninth.
Yes, indeed, my friend. You know what? In an interesting way, I'm actually really glad that you were on the call for that one because I was on mute, so I wouldn't step all over your play-by-play as I've done far too often tonight. But I got to be a fan for a second. I got to just jump up and down in silence and enjoy watching that ball sail out into right field just over that yellow tape. I mean, but hey, they all count, right? You just got to get it over, and that's what Ty France did with a couple runners on. So here at T-Mobile Park, it looks like the Mariners are going to try to close this thing out with Munoz. And usually when he's in the game, that's going to be lights out for the Mariners and whoever they're up against.
And that's what I get a chance to look at before we go to commercial break. If you get a closer and you get to come out like something like that, that's got to be a little intimidating. I know these are major league batters on that side, but that looked like a Metallica concert.
Oh, yeah. The folks at T-Mobile Park, they do a fantastic job. The entertainment value is high, and yeah, if they're gonna do anything, they're definitely gonna flash those LED lights. They're gonna make things seem like it's as dramatic as it is, and it certainly is after that home run by Ty France. Gotta turn up the drama when Munoz takes them out, you know.
This is a lot of fun. So if we do get a chance to catch this in time, we might actually catch the end of the Kraken game. They got a 2-1 lead on the Ducks right now with 5:15 in the third.
You know, I was actually thinking a couple of innings ago that we should, just for the fun of it, go through the NHL scores tonight because it looks to me, John, I'm just double checking here. After 2, apparently there's something magic going on with San Jose here late in the season. The Vegas Golden Knights trail the San Jose Sharks by a score of 3-2.
I was going to say, man, do they want us to cover them again? Because what's going on over there at the SAP Center?
Who knows? But the San Jose Sharks, they're just going for broke right now. They're just playing the role of spoiler. And boy, they certainly spoiled the Winnipeg Jets night just a couple evenings ago. And it was not only a win, but a shutout. That 3-0 win kept the Flames in the playoff race. That's a game that we covered. It was one of 3 on the night that we were a part of, that we did some play-by-play and commentary for. And, you know, here we are. This is one of the best times of the year, John. Like you said, we got Frozen 4. We have the finals of men's and women's college basketball, Major League Baseball underway, NHL getting to the best time of the year, NBA. It's this is where you want to be if you're a sports fan.
I'm glad you're able to do this tonight, man. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully close it on and get the Mariners a victory here.
Yes, indeed. So Munoz is on the mound now, and he's set to go. His first pitch of the season is an 87-mile-per-hour breaker that doesn't do much turning and stays up and into the zone. So 1 ball and no strikes. Last year held his opponents to 189, had a 2.49 ERA, and here's a little weak grounder out to J.P. Crawford, picks it up on a single hop and tosses it over to the man who looks to be the hero tonight. That's Ty France over at first, so an easy out number 1. Miles Straw goes down, and there are just 2 outs left in Cleveland's evening, unless they can find 3 runs here in the top of the ninth.
Yeah, Cleveland's not been able to get much going here, but Stephen Kwan, we know him to be a very good contact hitter. He was second in the rookie voting. He's got to get something going against Munoz.
Yeah, no question. He's their leadoff hitter for a reason. Crowding the plate here just a little bit, but Raleigh sets up right down the center, and this is the second time tonight, John. Raleigh has let one bounce out of the glove. That was a strike based on what the tracker shows. Low and inside, but still in the zone, yet it's called a ball. That's usually the case if the catcher can't hang on, so it's 1-0. And Munoz delivers the 1-0 pitch. That one just on the outside corner at 87 miles per hour. 1-1 now. Again, 3-0 here in Seattle, courtesy of a Ty France bomb last inning, or half inning, I should say. And there's a 99-mile-per-hour fastball fouled away by Stephen Kwan of Cleveland. So the count now, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Man, if this ends up the way it's going to right now, we can get a full 9-inning game about 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's crazy.
Yeah, this is potentially almost, well, I'd say completely unprecedented. There's a chopper that Suarez picks up on the run, fires over, and Kwan is gunned down by the Mariners' third baseman. Boy, he's got that beard looking tight, and that was a tight play as well. He had no room for error as he had to come running in on that one, gets it in the webbing, looks it in, toss across, perfect throw. Ty France brings it in, 2 down, Mariners 1 out away.
Yeah, and as you said, the key to that was getting a great start, getting a good look and good throw across. Gold star for Suarez.
Yes, indeed. So Munoz is going to deliver right here to Amed Rosario at 101 miles per hour, just low. So there is the flamethrower that Munoz has. He shows it off with that first pitch that was just a ball. So here's the 1-0. And that one's down Broadway at a cool 98. So he throws some ice cubes on that one. And it's 1-1. Munoz looks in, gets the sign right away. Gets set with that all-black glove, and he's going to toss this one in at 88 miles per hour. And that one sneaks just by J.P. Crawford. He lays on the grass there behind short just for a moment. He would have liked to grab that one and finish tonight's game. So a little bit of danger here with the runner on, but 2 down. And as John said just moments ago, Cleveland hasn't really been able to do much tonight, so we don't want to make too many grand assumptions, but you'd like to think that Munoz will take care of business here.
You'd like to think so, but this is the last guy you'd want to see. You didn't want to get another at-bat. It's Jose Ramirez. I know he looked silly in the last one. Look for an adjustment.
Yes, indeed. So from the left-hand side, this one is stroked into right field. It's going to be over Teoscar Hernandez's head. Or actually, I should say, drops just to his left. That's going to let Rosario get to third, and it's going to be a double. So right now, Munoz has allowed back-to-back hits. All of a sudden, John, things get a little bit tighter. We were talking as if this thing was wrapped up, and Jose Ramirez had something else to say about that.
Yeah, because that was a big at-bat like we just called with Rosario. You get a chance to get Ramirez up, and now you got Josh Bell and Naylor, so you got some serious gasoline power in these bats. They could change the game if Munoz hangs one of these.
Yeah, no question. So 2 down and 2 runners in scoring position for Cleveland after a single and then a follow-up double by Rosario and Ramirez, respectively. And as John just said, here comes Josh Bell. He has a hit tonight, and you can just look at the man and know that he could tie this game with 1 swing. So there's a ball that gets away from Cal Raleigh, but Rosario does not advance. My goodness, the Mariners catcher scrambling and gets that ball back behind home plate near the Cleveland dugout. Boy, John, we say this sometimes about goal-scoring opportunities when we cover hockey. I think it should be 3-1 right now, but somehow Cal Raleigh keeps it close enough.
Yeah, he did. Just get enough in front of it so he couldn't advance. This is a big at-bat here for Bell. He's up 1-0. Ooh. And he swung and missed on a fastball there. There we go, Cooper. We got you back.
Yes, indeed. My apologies, my friend. It's that mute button. I think I need to wipe my phone screen off. My goodness, bad time for a little bit of a hiccup. But either way, Josh Bell now 1-1 the count. 99-mile-per-hour fastball just down below the knees. So 2 balls and 1 strike. Again, good job by Cal Raleigh to corral a pitch that bounced away from him a couple pitches ago. Munoz takes a deep breath, exhales, and gets set again from the stretch with runners at second and third. There's a pitch that is golfed into the sky, John, but Bell was early on that one. He looked a little bit disappointed with that effort as the count is now 2-2 on the 14th pitch from Mariners closer Andres Munoz.
Man, Munoz did just enough to get that in on his hands because that was sandblasted.
So the Mariners 1 strike away here, 2 down, and this ball is going to be hit right to Ty France. What other way should it end, John? It's Ty France doing it at the plate, and it's Ty France doing it out in the field. A sliding stop at first, strands runners at second and third. Your final score in the opening night game from Seattle, 3-0. The Seattle Mariners with the win in the first of this 4-game stretch with the Cleveland Guardians.
Man, I got to tell you, Cooper, that was a lot of fun. That was some excellent pitching. And between both of these teams, you got to give it up to Shane Bieber and Luis Castillo. They set up that appetizer before the main course, a Ty France 3-run bomb. Man, that game was about as smooth as you like. Again, about 2 hours and 20 minutes of a 9-inning game. How often can you say that? Fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. Great points by you, my friend, and an exciting one as well. And having paid attention to the Mariners basically my entire life, it wouldn't be a Seattle Mariners ball game if they didn't make you hold your breath at least a few times during the contest, and they certainly did there in the bottom, at the top of the ninth. But Munoz ultimately gets the job done, and you can see in the neon lights on the roof there at T-Mobile Park, the W is lit up. It's the first win of the year and the first game of the year for the Seattle Mariners, thanks to Ty France. And boy, oh boy, I cannot wait to watch the highlights of this one, John, hear his interviews. What a game for the entire team. The Mariners really, from Castillo's performance to Sewald, Munoz settled in when he had to, but boy, oh boy, Ty France, by far, John, the MVP of this first game of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you said, then again, the final out, what way would you rather end it on that end for France? And I'll just say this in the grand scheme of things. I know Bieber's not going to overpower anybody. And I know they're going to do an interview there with Ty France. But I think Seattle's had the better of the at-bats throughout this contest. They're able to make contact, make Karinchak work at critical times, make Bieber work at critical times, more so than Cleveland did. They usually don't strike out a lot, but Castillo, he just looked like a pitching machine tonight. Anywhere he wanted to place it, anywhere Raleigh wanted to request it, that's where the ball went. He was excellent.
Yeah, and the word that comes to mind for me for Castillo is, you know what, it's just unbothered. He just looked unbothered by any batter that he faced, any account that he faced, any situation. And frankly, he didn't really get into that many situations, period. He just did his work. 6 full innings, about 75 pitches, takes a seat. Paul Sewald comes in, Matt Brash comes in, Paul Sewald follows. And this is basically the formula that Scott Servais wants to use. Excellent starting pitching. Mariners have pretty inarguably one of the top 5 or maybe 3 rotations in all of baseball. And it showed tonight, and then they backed it up with a really solid bullpen that I would put up against most bullpens in the league as well. So this is what they want to do. They were around it all night with runners in scoring position, and you and I think rightly were a little concerned, okay, if you leave too many opportunities on the table, how long until your opponent, again, 92 wins for Cleveland last year, how long until they bite you? And ultimately, because of the pitching, they didn't bite back, and the Mariners got one in the bottom of the 8th, and that's all they needed. Had a couple runners on, so you get a 3-0 win, and now it's time to head home, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I know we still got another 161 of these left to go, but I think after this first game and watching these two teams play against each other, 2 really good ball clubs with some really good bullpens, pitching, and hitters. But I do wonder with Karinchak, again, this is just one outing, so he's going to get a little bit of a leash. But if that continues, I know last year he spent some time in AAA because of the location and things like that. The leash won't be that long for Karinchak if he continues to throw pitches into the fence.
Yeah, an inauspicious start for Karinchak, and one of the most interesting moments of the game, John, when he was clearly bothered by the pitch count, or excuse me, the pitch clock expiring. And that, I believe, changed his entire outing. And ultimately, I don't think it's melodrama to say it changed the outcome of the game. He was not ready, not settled in after that moment. And ultimately, a couple runners on, he gives up walks. And then Ty France, he's looking for that pitch up tall. It was a high fastball that he connects with, and it's out beyond the wall in right field, and the Mariners take the W.
I'm going to go ahead and close out my official recording side. I won't close out the window. I'll stay here with you, but I'll close out the recorder. I appreciate you following along. I'm going to go ahead and flip in between the Golden Knights and the Sharks because I'm intrigued.
Oh man, I love it. I wish I could join you for that one. I'm going to probably tune in for a little bit. I think the wife and I might switch over, and I'll do a little badly. I want to let her.
Yes.
I've taken over the TV, so I want to let her get some viewing in tonight. But man, oh man, this was so exciting, my friend. And we kicked off the season on a really great note. 2 thumbs up from me over here. I know you enjoyed it as well, and obviously this will not be the only baseball game we cover this year.
All right, we'll definitely talk soon. That was a lot of fun, man. You guys take care.
All right, thanks, pal. I'll be in touch soon, and we'll get something lined up coming up.
Sounds good. See you.
All right, see you.
And look at all the teal jerseys as they come back to the net. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is controlling the strip. That's winning that small ice area. Took a little bit to get there, but once